If you want to write a successful grant application to the NIH, you need to make sure that you have a solid plan in place so that you aren't writing at the last minute and binge writing. It is a disaster, trust me. In this video, we are going to talk about how to create a grant writing plan that will help you get to your application deadline without completely burning out. I'm Sarah Dobson. I am a grant writing expert, and I help early career researchers like you write show-stopping, outstanding applications to the NIH so that you can get your research funded and make a big impact in your career. So an NIH application, particularly an R01, is a huge undertaking. To write one of these well, you need months and not weeks. And you also need a really good system to actually get your grant finished. You need to pace yourself. So here are the three components that I think are really, really important in your grant writing plan. You need to pace yourself, you need to anticipate obstacles, and you need to build in time for feedback. So let's talk about each of those. When we're talking about pacing yourself, it's really about mapping out a timeline that you can stick to, because presumably you've got lots of other things on your plate that are going to draw your attention away from grant writing. And this is actually what we want. We don't want you to be writing everything and focusing on it completely for a few weeks at a time. You want this to be a process that is drawn out over a longer period of time for a reason I'm going to tell you about in just a second. But really what you want to be doing is sort of integrating this in a more sustainable way into your professional life. So when you pace yourself, it's really about breaking your project down into chunks and actually scheduling those chunks into your calendar. And in a future video, we'll talk about exactly how to do that. But for right now, I just want you to wrap your head around the idea of pacing yourself and not leaving everything until the last minute and binge writing. Because as we've already talked about, this doesn't get you good results. This just means that you are submitting a subpar application that you threw together at the last minute, and that's not going to get you very far. So the second thing that you want to do when you are creating your grant writing plan is you want to anticipate obstacles. And those obstacles can be other responsibilities that are on your plate. It can be conferences or other obligations that you have that are already scheduled in. It can be, personal obligations and responsibilities. So those are the types of things that you want to be thinking about when you are making your plan. But anticipating obstacles is also about imagining the unimaginable. And I mean, the world that we're living in these days is a perfect example. I mean, who ever could have anticipated a global pandemic in early 2020? And so the idea with anticipating obstacles is to just build in some flexibility so that you are able to bounce back when these unanticipated events hit. So it's really important that you, again, give yourself enough time and space to write these major applications so that you have a bit more breathing room in case something diverts your attention for a short period of time or a longer period of time. The third thing that you need to do is build in time for feedback. And we've already talked a little bit about why feedback is so important, but I just want to remind you here that feedback is absolutely essential to the quality of your application. And you need to give the people who are giving you feedback enough time to actually do a good job. So when you are laying out your grant writing plan, you need to make sure that you are leaving enough time in there where someone else is able to look at your work and you're not kind of breathing down their neck to get it back from them. So make sure that when you are creating that plan that you identify the points in time where feedback is going to be most useful, and we'll talk about that in a future video. And I also want you to think about the time that you're going to need to incorporate that feedback and improve your draft. So those are the key components that you need for your grant writing plan. Next time, we are going to talk about feedback and when you actually need to get that feedback. So that will help you build it into your plan if you watch the next video in the series. Thanks for watching, and make sure that you check out that video on feedback. I will see you next time.